Scott, with the New Jersey Devils power play, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, but when you look at where the goals have come from, it's been a number of different areas. So, from that perspective, what are they doing so effectively with what appears to be both their first and second units?
Yeah, they're extremely dangerous, number one in the league, and they've been running at a high percentage all year. I know there's no Hughes and Heischer who were a big part of that first unit, but Brad has really stepped in there. I think he's got 14 points on the power play. Luke Hughes has jumped into that top unit. They've moved Hamilton to the second unit. They've got some experienced guys, Toffoli coming over from Calgary, Palat coming, obviously being there for a year and a half, coming from Tampa. They've got experience, and they know how to play on those man advantage situations. They move the puck quick, and they attack the net quick. And there's always, if there's a shot or a play that's going somewhere near the blue paint, there's four guys coming and crashing, and they're getting there. So, like I said, without Hughes, I mean, he's dynamic. He covers the whole ice surface. You can't pin him on one spot, on left flank or right flank. He's moving all the time. But now Brad is kind of into that mode. So lots of different looks that you get, and so you got to be prepared for a little bit of everything.
So on the flip side of that, they're minus 10 5-on-5, and that's kind of been your bread and butter. So is that what you're looking at to try to feast on tonight?
0 penalties across the board tonight. So, I mean, 5-on-5 is. I mean, the game is. Hopefully, it's usually on a night-to-night basis. It's usually 2 or 3 penalties per team, and so it's an awful lot of the game is 5-on-5, and. We've stressed a lot about that lately, about how we play against teams, how much we want to frustrate other teams. This is a team here that's going to run and gun, and they're going to go. There's going to be 4 guys in the rush every chance they get. We got to limit those odd man situations, and every chance you get to make them defend, make them play in their end of the rink, it just raises your chances of winning.
To that point, Scott, you guys are coming off, a hard, heavy game against a divisional opponent, and now tonight and even your next 2, is there a lot of similarities between these 3 teams you're going to see here this week? And they'd all be viewed as probably teams with a lot of youth and up and coming, kind of exciting young teams.
Yeah, exactly. And, we saw it last week when we were away. We went to Montreal and Detroit and Montreal, young teams that could fly and push the pace. That's what these guys are going to do, and. No matter which team your sort of opponent you're playing, the heavy ones or the fast ones, you still have to manage the puck. It's all about what your puck decisions are. But when we play fast against these kind of teams, that's when we're at our best too. And we don't, we're not going back hanging on to pucks. We're not going back through the neutral zone trying to make cute plays. We're just turning it and getting it up and getting after them and getting it below the opposition's hash marks, and that's when we go to work. So, us being real smart with the puck is going to be a big part of our success.
And just a scheduling question here. In the NHL season, you don't get a whole lot of time off, a lot of travel and back-to-backs or every other day. But you're in a pattern here now where kind of playing just one in, I guess, 5 or even 5.5 days, kind of bookended. Do you like that chance to obviously get some practice time in and maybe take a bit of a breather?
Yeah, I think that, I think Bones, talked about it at the start of the year. This is probably one of the best schedules we've seen for getting good workload in, working into the second half of the year, because there can be times where you can go long stretches without having practice, and it's so important for these guys to get their touches, to get their conditioning, to get the feel, whether it's specialty teams, to get their work, partners, defense partners, working together out there. So we're taking advantage of all this stuff because we know that it's going to get heavy again, and it is nice to have these breaks. If you are banged up a little bit, those guys get to heal somewhat. Tomorrow we're going to throw a different wrinkle at them. We'll throw a skills day at them. We're just going to have them where they just completely do skills on the ice. So it gives us a chance to kind of change it up a little bit as well.
And you were able to get guys like Dominic and Declan even down to the Moose, who are here as well, and get them some game action without really taking anything off the roster. So it kind of worked out well that way.
Yeah, it has. And, now for the Moose, they got a lot of games. And, when they're going out on the road trip, they got a bunch going. So allows those guys to, get lots of games in, not just sitting themselves, not playing.
Scott, you go way back with Lindy Ruff. How would you describe the impact he's had on your coaching career, and what do you remember about those early days on the staff in Buffalo with him?
Yeah, we go back as, first of all, as teammates from Buffalo, and then just a great person, great teammate. And, I was coaching here at the Moose, and he called me about coming to Buffalo, and it was, to be there with him, and he's had a lot of experience over the years. He's worked in some great situations, some real good teams over the years. He's had, Olympic success, and he's got a lot of knowledge, and, he helped me kind of see the game a little bit different than, maybe how I thought it at the time. So some real good experiences moving along, and then we got to work together again in New York, which was great to be back with him again. And, I just love to see that he's still going.
How have you grown as a coach since those first days in the NHL?
You're in this game. The game is always changing. Every year, Stanley Cup champions kind of dictate kind of how the game changes a little bit. It's we copycat each other, but at the end of the day, as a coach, just like players, their players are changing. The game has changed from 5 years ago to where it is today. As a coach, you got to stay current. You got to stay, up to speed what's happening. So you never get stuck in just one way of doing things. You have to be open-minded, both towards how the players look at things and how you approach things. And it's probably the biggest thing for me is just making sure that I stay current. Thank you.